Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone doing this fantastic day? Hopefully you guys are amped up and ready to go because we have quite the exciting live stream. Today, Decentralized Science, which is right here on my screen, is up an astonishing 3.7%. Very low trading volume. However, things are in fact starting to bounce from the bottom here. Leading the charge upwards is Solve, Axon, DigiHealth, Senku, Redacted Terminal, Poseidon DAO, Psy DAO, Not Hellman Different, Not Defi Hellman, and Dynex, and Hydra DAO, and Etika, and basically a lot of different projects leading us upwards today. These are some pretty large moves, especially in some of the staple names that we've talked about a lot on the channel. Axon, Poseidon DAO, Psy DAO, Not Defi Hellman continues to just be brought up over and over again, which is pretty interesting. And of course, let me align it appropriately. Dynex, baby, let's go. Let's go. Good morning, Stare. Good morning, Beagle. How's it going, Tank? What's good, Zach? How? Wild Africa. You are here early today. Let's go. It's very exciting. Leading us down for the day, we have Molecules, IP, NFT, VitaFast. We have TRL. We have the Fake Gene. We have Exemplar by Virtuals. We have Red Genesis. We have Oncology Network and the Real Genome, all leading us down a little bit here today, but not enough to take us down any further than a green day. Good morning, Ruralis. Welcome in, welcome in. As far as Bitcoin is concerned today, we are having a bit of a green day, still not really out of this range that we've been in for the past, let's see how many days we've been in this exact same price range. We are in the 18th day of literally no price action for Bitcoin. The range, I mean, it's ranged down pretty far, but ultimately this has been an 8% range that Bitcoin has been in for the last almost 3 weeks, really just trending exactly sideways. But it is showing some signs of strength today, as well as Ethereum, which was up a bit more earlier today when I was looking at it, and Solana, which is bouncing off those lows and finally getting a little bit of breath after this massive sell-off it's had. Bitcoin dominance, of course, trucking along higher and higher. Derek called the bottom. Let's go, Derek. Where is Derek? Got back from the wild early today. That's funny. Okay, now, if you kind of take a closer look in on the hourly chart for Bitcoin, you see that does look like a bit of a capitulation moment where a lot of traders were probably putting their stop losses right here, kind of at the swing low from before. And then we just took them out and started going higher. I imagine they're going to push it up just above 100,000 to liquidate some of the shorts and then probably come back to chopping around. But who knows? We'll see. This has been a very unique period in Bitcoin's price during a bull run where it's not really doing all that much at all. As far as current events and things we're going to be talking about in the live stream today, I don't really know. I didn't have really much time this morning to go through and find a bunch of news. So we're going to go through together and kind of do an analysis on where the current state of the market is. Obviously, the title of this live stream is the $5,000 stimulus checks that people are starting to talk about that will be coming from DOGE. There is some rumor and some confirmation that we will be getting some sort of a dividend from the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. What's good, Spec Truth? Welcome. I'm glad you can hear it over on X. That is exciting. But likely it will not be anywhere even remotely close to $5,000, but we are going to have to wait and see what it actually turns into. And I'll come back to what this is in just a minute. Somebody remind me to make sure we talk about this, the DMXE. I do want to just talk about, oh, there's Spec Truth. Go ahead and like that post, just like you guys should like the live stream if you guys enjoy these live streams. The dividend. So again, I don't have anything pulled up, so we're gonna have to that's kind of funny. We're gonna have to just kind of talk about it and talk about what we've all seen on socials as far as this dividend is concerned. It's not going to be $5,000, but rather supposedly might end up being 20% of the savings from the DOGE. And so Doge so far has saved nearly $100 billion. And so $20 billion of that would be sent out to taxpaying citizens, which I think currently speaking comes out to be worth like $300 or something. But the idea is that that was only 1 month of savings. And as they continue to save more and more and more money and uncover more and more fraud, which they're doing a lot better at. They're about to audit Fort Knox and actually get to go look and see if all the gold is there. Imagine the large scale fraud if the gold is missing or any of the gold is missing. That's kind of crazy. They also supposedly found $4.7 trillion of unaccounted for spending from the Treasury Department in the United States. So that getting divvied up would also be pretty mind-numbing. Mind-numbing indeed. We will see what that all turns into, but we do have some sort of confirmation that Trump is accepting this proposal to pay out dividends, which is pretty crazy to think about. Let's just search Doge dividend. Doge dividend. Yeah, here we go. Is this the real one? No. What are your thoughts on the Doge dividend? Trump reportedly considering a, quote, tax refund of $5,000 to Americans as Doge is on track to cut government waste and fraud by $1 trillion. 1 trillion divided by 200 million taxpayers is $5,000 per person. It's not going to end up being that. It's going to be 20% of that. So 20% of that would be $1,000 tax refund for people, which is still quite a bit. And I made the comment that right now the velocity of money is 1.4, meaning a dollar gets spent 1.4 times on average before it finds its way into the financial markets. So any kind of money that gets put into the hands of the people is going to be spent 1.4 times before it ends up in the markets, which is effectively the beginning talk of QE. We also, give you guys a little bit of hopium. Anyone who is not driving and is able to type a 1 in the chat, let me see a 1 in the chat if you guys want a little bit of hopium. This is not apparently the topic everyone wanted to hear today, but this is the topic we are going to be talking about today because it is pretty, I have a point to this. There's a pretty unique proposition here that I think is worth paying attention to because this is effectively QE initiating, right? President Trump announces he will explore the Doge dividend. This is not directly QE from the Federal Reserve. However, we got the conversation yesterday. It's not Fed minutes, but let me search Fed minutes anyways. Oh, I guess it is. Yeah, we had official, I keep looking over there because I moved the camera a little bit, but we got an official announcement from the Federal Reserve that they are starting to toy with the idea of quantitative tightening ending. They used a lot of terminology that indicated they might be headed into QE as early as Q2, which is pretty exciting for our altcoins, as if you overlay any of the charts, altcoin season generally doesn't start until QE starts. And it looks like they're starting to get ready to stop tightening the balance sheet, stop offloading bonds and everything to keep the yields high, which is very exciting. So I got a bunch of 1s, so this is good. This is good. The Federal Reserve minutes for the January FOMC meeting have been released. This gives us more insight in how the Fed was thinking. And there's some big clues about the future of QT. Here's everything you need to know. Deciphering the Fed minutes. The Fed always likes to signal big changes to the market before they are implemented. Make no mistake, we just saw a big signal about QT. Fed minutes are not so much minutes, more sections, guidance for the market. Remember, the market doesn't like being surprised, and so this is how the Fed communicates things without making it a surprise. They do little itty-bitty like sneak peeks of it. That's the fun part about this. So T Dude Meng, that's the fun part about this. This is not them printing money. This is money that they took from taxpayers and have been putting into fraudulent departments in the government, and they're taking it out of those fraudulent departments and giving it back to the taxpayers. So it's not new money, it's just the reallocation of resources that have already been put into circulation, meaning it's likely not to cause the same broad scale effects of inflation that we saw from when they did print all that money. Now, the Fed pausing or stopping QT is what we're getting into here, because this is something interesting to pay attention to. But also, I know this is not a very liked opinion in the crypto markets, but if you look at where technology is, we don't actually have the inflationary pressures that everyone thinks we do. Most of the pressures from technological advancements like AI and quantum computing and all of these things we're on the forefront of are extraordinarily deflationary. You go look at how expensive it was to train a smart AI model 2 years ago versus what it costs now to do it. That is wildly deflationary. It costs pennies on the dollar compared to what it used to cost to train these things. And these things are overtaking the entire global economy very quickly, which are excessively deflationary. But it's okay. The world... All right, here we go. What specifically did the minutes outline? Here's the key passage in full. Regarding the potential for significant swings in reverses or swings in reserves over coming months related to debt ceiling dynamics, various participants noted that it may be appropriate to consider pausing or slowing balance sheet runoff until the resolution of this event. So the specific wording is pausing or slowing due to debt ceiling dynamics. That's very intriguing. Pausing or slowing, they're introducing the idea of QT ending. Like he said, there's no explicit mention of ending. This is a really good post so far. Again, I just found this post. However, I'm cynical enough to believe that if QT is paused, it probably would be turned back on again. It probably won't be turned back on again. They can't pivot over and over and over again. But that's what they did during the 70s and the 60s, which is what led to a lack of trust in the Fed and that runaway inflation. I know, it is very amazing. Before the release of these last minutes, primary dealers were already expecting an end to QT around Q2 or Q3 of 2025, so it was likely coming anyway. What would this mean for the asset markets? I see some comments. Siri, damn it, call a tow truck. No, C90. Jesus, take the wheel. What was the drama with Dynex? We can go over the drama with Dynex in a few minutes too. That was pretty interesting, but it looks like Dynex is finding a bottom right now, which is very exciting. Asset markets like liquidity. Stopping QT is not really much of a direct liquidity impulse. However, it is liquidity positive because it halts downward pressure on Fed liquidity and bank reserves. That makes sense, guys? QT is meant to dry up liquidity. So even if they don't add any new liquidity and they just stop taking liquidity out of the market, that is net positive, right? It has a very similar effect, at least at first. QT is currently running at a constant pace, roughly $55 billion per month of liquidity being drained from the bond market, which is pretty insane. So that $55 billion net negative pressure on the markets would go away. Stopping QT would stop this constant liquidity drain and yeah, I just said that. Please do not implement turbo QE. Or please do not expect immediate turbo QE. There's a prevailing sentiment from some people on X that ending QT means swift return to the type of QE we have seen in the past. This is not true. This person's view is that we are unlikely to see any kind of large and explicit QE without a catalyst, i.e., a stock market crash or a treasury market freakout, financial crisis, war, pandemic, or similar black swan. So this is the current state of, it looks like the net liquidity in the markets. Projected SOMA, domestic security holdings, has been going up since this last little sell-off back during the initial phases of QT starting, and something similar here with projections way farther out. Interesting. However, let's be clear, more liquidity is always coming. That is true. Okay, here we go. So what are these debt ceiling dynamics? Since this is the trigger to ending QT and starting QE, it's probably pretty important to acknowledge what the debt ceiling dynamic is. Yes, Spec Truth, DeSci girl and I will be headed to Amsterdam. Misappropriated funds is more likely higher than actual fraud. I agree. What's good, Derek? Someone said you called the exact bottom in the market. Bottom in the market. That's good. The recent released Fed minutes mentioned debt ceiling dynamic. These dynamics affecting the Fed's line of sight on bank reserves is something I've written about before. But before we look at this, let's quickly run through what bank reserve scarcity is. To gauge reserve scarcity, you can look at bank reserves as a percentage of GDP or bank reserves as a percentage of total bank assets. So bank reserves as a percentage of total bank assets is in red, and bank reserves as a percent of GDP is in blue. So it has been in a pretty clear downtrend, although it is looking like it's trying to find a bottom. Both of these charts remind me very eerily of the altcoin market. It actually is pretty shockingly similar. They peaked out here in 2022 and then started absolutely falling off a cliff. Kind of showing some bottoming or supporting. Yeah, wait, let me pull this up because this looks pretty damn similar to others. Not the day, I want the week. Like others is definitely showing a bit more strength, but if you kind of look back here, in the beginning part of 2022, we had that big sell-off, the end of last cycle, and then we continued to climb up a little bit, but not really making any significant progress, at least not compared to Bitcoin. A very similar thing happening here with that big sell-off at the end into beginning of 2023, and then a bit of a stagnation. So that's interesting to just a correlation. I have no idea if that's any kind of causation or not, but just correlation. Either way, they both dropped to multi-year lows in late December 2024 during the end of year liquidity squeeze I outlined at the time. As reserves have fallen in recent months, there has been some stress in boring but important dollar funding markets, including SOFR, Secured Overnight Finance Rate. If things are running smoothly, SOFR should not be spiking above the Fed's corridor. Interesting. So this straight line is the Fed interest rates, the Fed's upper bound limit to where interest rates can go, because they don't actually control or set interest rates, the Fed. Slim says, loved Amsterdam. I recommend Europe's high swing. Check out a damn lookout. All right, bullish. Send me a DM with that information though, because I'm not going to remember it by the time we're out in Amsterdam. But the way the Fed sets interest rates is not through setting a hard interest rate limit. They set a range that interest rates can trade within, and interest rates are still set by the market, right? They just kind of like dictate what's going to happen by manipulating the balance sheets and of the Fed. And so this is like the upper bound, and you can see that occasionally the banking market in these kind of loans between themselves have occasionally spiked interest rates higher than what the Fed is setting it to, which just kind of indicates levels of instability. What the Fed does not want is a rerun of the 2019 repo crisis. Can I get a show of hands? How many of you guys were paying attention to the markets during the 2019 reverse repo crisis? That was a complete shit show. Banks just like ran out of liquidity. They couldn't loan. The reverse repo market, I'm sure he's going to talk about it here in a second, but when you take a loan out from a bank, they don't actually have, most of the time they don't actually have the money to fulfill that loan, so they have to go borrow it from other banks that might have that money, and they borrow it just overnight until the money actually clears into their account from you doing that purchase, and then they give the money back to the other bank. And we had such a liquidity crisis in the banking market in 2019 that the interest rates banks were paying on this overnight repo market would spike significantly higher than what the Fed had set interest rates to, which was pretty devastating and was indicating that there was some sort of financial crisis brewing. But then the pandemic put all of that on a pause, and they injected a crazy amount of stuff into it. Oh, let's go, T.O. Slime. Bro, glad you had a look at NSAI yesterday. I know, glad you clipped that video and put it out there. That was really cool to see. I always forget that what I'm talking about is on the internet and people can kind of just take and do whatever they want with. I always forget about that. So it was really, I enjoyed that clip you guys had. Oh, we got a lot of chat. We got a lot of chat going on. Take Patrick and Amanda to a hash cafe. Babe, wake up. New Noble Blocks article just dropped. Let's go, MJ. Let's go. I think Dawn was calling Derek a bottom. Oh, she mods. So many jokes I want to make, but still chuckle. C90. I stay silent. Dawn's been bear posting too much. I knew the bottom was in. True. Not in crypto, but yes, 2019. I was watching that as I brought up some old slumlord properties. Bought up some old slumlord. That's funny. Yeah, I was not into crypto in 2019 either, but I was paying close attention to the financial markets, and that was an interesting time. It really opened my eyes to how the banking system actually works. In September 2019, reserves became so scarce that a massive dollar funding panic ensued, sparking a worldwide market panic and forcing the Fed to abruptly stop QT and transition to a light form of QE. There are 3 levels of reserve scarcity according to the Fed: abundant, ample, and scarce. So this is the language that they will use when talking about all of it. The lower the reserves fall, the closer we get to scarce. Nobody really knows for sure what these levels actually are. The Fed attempts to guesstimate and use various measurements to do so. According to Powell, at the latest FOMC in January, reserves are still currently abundant, although I'm not sure I agree with him. The Fed wants to get reserves down to ample and keep them there to avoid a dip into scarce. So they want to control as the reserves go down into ample so it stays there, rather than letting the market just panic and send the reserves down to scarce as everyone just dips. Back to debt ceiling dynamic. The debt ceiling induced drawdown of the Treasury General Account, TGA, started last week. This is the first time I'm hearing about this, so bear with me as we make sense of what he's saying. Big detail on this is the quoted post below. This likely means we will see an increase in reserves until a debt ceiling resolution, which will happen at some unknown date between now and probably some point in August. Damn it. No, I don't want to wait till August. Once we get a debt ceiling resolution, we will then likely see a rapid decrease in reserves as the TGA is, quote, refilled. If QT continues to run in the background through the debt ceiling showdown period, the $55 billion per month reserve drain from QT would essentially be covered up, and it would then reveal itself as the TGA is rapidly refilled, meaning reserves might be at risk of dipping meaningfully below the most recent end of December low shortly after the debt ceiling showdown is resolved. So these debt ceiling dynamics essentially muddy the Fed's view of reserve scarcity. Okay. That's interesting. So basically the Fed is flying a blind ship while they're having the debt ceiling nonsense going on. The Fed can't see a very clear picture of what's going on, and so they're all coming out and saying explicitly, because this is not just a couple participants, this is very much so the Fed committee coming out and saying we need to slow down QT or stop it. And so that way they can probably not be working with blindfolds on. They can just stop work until they can figure out what's going on and see it more clearly. That's an interesting idea. He's projecting $600 billion of liquidity injections, and then liquidity drains, injections, drains, injections. Interesting. So it sounds like even on this article that they might be starting a temporary QE. And in order to do that, they kind of need QT to stop. But this is, of course, just for the banks. But extra liquidity in the market always seems to find its way back into the financial asset markets, hence the velocity of money. When money gets introduced into the market, no matter how it gets introduced, money tends to just flow into the stock market and financial markets. What's going on? I haven't been able to load any sites lately. There we go. So you can see the velocity of money tends to stay around prior, like way long ago. It was chilling around 1.7. Then it spiked up during leading into the internet bubble, the dot-com bubble, and then it's just been on a steady downtrend since that. Meaning since the adoption of the internet, people have really just been funneling money into the stock market. I think because widespread knowledge went around the whole world to realize that money is best suited just sitting, earning you passive income or passive appreciation, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely looking like the velocity of money is kind of peaked out, which could mean that the economy is starting to kind of slow down a bit, but it going down does not immediately mean we go into recession. It just, anytime it rapidly goes down, it has usually been correlated to a recession. But I don't know. So the two things to take away. What does all of this mean? What am I actually trying to say to you guys? Basically, they're trying to reallocate funds because we're having low levels of liquidity in the market. The Fed is starting to toy with the idea of pivoting away from QT, meaning QE might come, and QE is corresponded to alt season every single time. A little bit of hopium for you guys. And because we just don't have a ton of liquidity, they're trying to actually take some of that money that's been misappropriated and give it back to Americans instead of printing new money to give to Americans. So this would be a very bullish endeavor in my honest opinion. Total savings 55 billion, which is interesting because they were able to save the exact same amount that the Fed has been withdrawing from the market. So with that $55 billion a month liquidity drying up. Do you guys have any questions or any points that you guys want to bring to my attention so we can address them? I'm going to, as you guys think, take a small sip of my kombucha. Yeah. Plus, if you think about it, for Trump's approval rating is one of the highest that has ever been, and it is significantly higher than his approval rating from his last term. If he were to just hand everyone a blanketed check and say, hey, the government's been wasting your money, and here it is, it's back in your pocket, his approval rating would skyrocket. Because how do you argue with that? At that point, it's like, okay, well, I got more money, and so everything must be okay. The only people who would be arguing with that at that point would just be people who the money was taken from, i.e. the corrupt individuals. So we'll see how it all plays out. I honestly wouldn't expect anything from it until next tax season would be my guesstimate from the QT, or not the QT, from the DOGE dividend. I could be totally wrong. It's quite literally everyone's best guess. I just don't see how they would get it out to everyone this tax season, especially where they haven't actually saved anything really this tax season. Supposedly it's only for tax-paying citizens, so it would only be for people who actually paid taxes. I don't really know though. And I don't think it should just be a blanketed check to everyone. It should probably be dependent on how much taxes you actually ended up paying. But I'm not the one making the rules. So we will see what they actually do. Good morning, Zaj. Question, is your collar tucked in? Yeah, it is tucked in, motherfucker. God damn it. I'm going into the turtlenecks. You little shit. Thank you, C90. I didn't realize I was so immature. Okay, now let's get into the exciting stuff, what you guys are actually here for. You guys are curious about the DeSci news for the day, yeah? Make the rules then, I trust you. I'm down for it. My first implementation as new official rule maker. Never mind. Okay, all right, let's look at some of the stuff. So Bioprotocol has a space starting in 30 minutes with Curetopia on rare diseases. They just finished the raise, or I think they're about to do the raise. I don't remember. I do know that Bioprotocol currently has a raise going on their website. I felt better as a perma heckler than I could donate memberships to make up for my heckling ways. I know. I appreciated all those memberships. Unfortunately, that era had to come to a temporary cessation as I currently, according to the government, am homeless again. Fund project, yeah, so they're raising for Qtopia right now. Qtopia, there's 19 days left in it, and they've raised 214 Solana. Right now is not the time to be raising. It is a stark difference compared to where Quantum Bio was able to raise, because it was at the peak euphoria in the market. I do think it's quite interesting they've only had 214 Sol committed to the raise for Qtopia, but just pointing it out to you guys. If you guys want to participate, it is a huge movement, and I'm pretty sure for the rare diseases, there's an overwhelming amount of support from DeSci involved in this one. It was either Qtopia or Long COVID Labs. One of those two had an overwhelming support when I was looking into them from DeSci. We also have a Research Hub here boasting about $150 for peer review preprints, which is a complete flip of the script compared to traditional scientific preprint reviewers or journalists. What's good, devists? Welcome into the X live stream. Where they usually have to pay to get things posted and then peer review for free. This one you get paid $150, which is the main value proposition for Research Hub, in my opinion, at least in the short term. Then we have VitaDAO talking about how they've gone from community funding to clinical trials in just 3.5 years, which might sound like a long time in crypto, one full cycle, but it's actually an extremely short period of time to go from funding the initial research into getting into clinical trials. So VitaDAO is actually making some crazy movements in the market. HairDAO says, a wise man once said, hair is to HairDAO as books were to Amazon. Ooh. I'm getting messages down here. Okay, all right, hold on. Two things that I do want to bring up. First one is Noble, because we are all well aware of what NobleBlocks is doing. NobleBlocks an hour ago posted, peer review is broken, here's how we fix it. A bullish article. I haven't read it yet, but we all know NobleBlocks is one of the most undervalued, underappreciated projects in the crypto landscape. They have been through adversity like no other project. I have a hole in all of my socks. Every single pair of socks I put on for the last month, I've ended up having a hole in it, and I've had to just rip them and throw them away. And I just found a hole in both of these socks. Spec Truth, I see your comments. I do not know. I have not heard of this such event going on. Bio is an awesome launchpad concept. I hope we can work with them in a few months when the market picks back up. Bullish. I can give you Noble socks. Bullish. Send me Noble socks. I will start posting feet pics if that's what it takes. Promote NobleBlocks. My sock pics, rather. A common belief is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what if the systems seem to be working while quietly falling apart? Bullish. That is a good intro. I like it. Peer review has long been considered the gold standard for ensuring quality, research quality, yet the cracks in the system are becoming impossible to ignore. Scientists struggle to keep up today, and a broken peer review system adds unnecessary congestion. NobleBlocks aims to help fix it. We've gone over it more times than I can count, and so I don't think I'm going to read through the whole article. I will highly encourage all of you guys to read through the article, though, and I might just make a video on it today if I have the time, but there's a large possibility I won't have time to make any content today. We got just working, man. Just working hard or hardly working. You pick. Bullish article, though. NobleBlocks is starting to pick up a little bit of momentum to find a floor in the price of the token, and it looks better and better as time continues to go on. Let's go look at Noble. A fourth of a penny. However, it's starting to look like it's trying to find that floor. If you look at it pretty closely, it does seem like it's starting to break that trend, you know? I would like to see this continue for a little bit before any kind of confirmation bias can come into play. Confirmation bias, what am I saying? Before any confirmation of a reversal, because ultimately it's still in this larger downtrend here, which then accelerated through here, right? It broke out of that accelerated downtrend. However, it has not yet, I don't think we can say it's broken out of the other downtrend. But if we do get a price surge in Noble Blocks to be above 0.007, if we can get even close to a penny again, I would say that we are back in the bull market for Noble, which happens quick, guys. Happens really, really quick. Now, when I first came on to the scene here today, I had this pulled up. You might be wondering, WTF equals this? Well, this is the newest of IP tokens coming from one of the bio DAOs. This is from SciDAO, DMXE. It is their research token, DMXE, from SciDAO. It's a psychedelic drug token. I don't know anything about it yet. However, you guys know I am inherently bullish on all of the IP tokens. All of them. VitaFast, VitaRNA, Ovaria, Hempi, Biard. This one, DMXE. Just instinctively, I am bullish on it. Shampoo, or ticker Poo from HairDAO. All of them. There's a lot of them. They're really hard to keep track of. I think that they are all monstrous value propositions in the market. Even the pump science tokens. While those might seem like little jokes and memes right now, those are very large scale value propositions in the market. But more specifically, the tokens like this, DMXE. So I haven't scooped this one yet, but I will be, after the live stream, probably converting some of my Solana into it. That's really cool that it's on Solana. I think this is going to be a cook as soon as DeSci pops off and people go looking for those speculative gamble plays. I think that those projects that are the IP tokens will skyrocket like no other. They're all sitting at like sub $1 million market caps, all of them. And it's pretty crazy to see that. At least these ones that we keep track of. Where's the market cap? There we go. Yeah, not VitaRNA and VitaFast because they're a little bit larger with larger people backing them. But we come look at these. The market cap 570,000 for DMXE. The market cap of 489,000 for Biard. Market cap of 218,000 for Hempi. And we had Ovaria the other day with a market cap of like 88,000, which is just a little disrespectful to Athena DAO. Oh, it's gone again. That's what I mean. They're so small that they aren't even listed necessarily on Dex Screener, which is kind of crazy to think about. What do you guys think about the IP NFTs? IP tokens. What do you guys think of those? I just told you what I think. So I'm curious if you guys agree with me or if you guys don't really care about them because they just keep bleeding and looking like little tiny opportunities to grab liquidity. Nerd Money post live 2 showcasing some of those things make Nerd Money different. Let's go. Nerd Bunny, Nerd Bunny, Nerd Bunny. I'm out of them. All right. When C90 buys, that'll be the bottom. Share your IP list. There's not much to it. I'll share it with you guys, but they're like, it's hard to, I need to go through and actually search all of them. I need to go through and actually like find all of them to add to this list. Yeah. Should I go buy DMXE right now? On live, should I go buy them? Ah, someone just bought $1 worth. It looks like people are dumping. But that just be the case always, right? DMXE. They did kind of a stealth launch, which is pretty cool. The thing is, the charts for a lot of these I don't care about because they're so small that it's like, oh, if I buy it at 500,000, and it goes down to 100,000, I don't really care, because all it takes is a little bit of buying pressure to then send it to 1 million. And so obviously I'd rather buy it at 100,000, but if I buy it at 500,000 and it tanks, it won't really matter. If I do think these are going to like 10 to 20 million dollar market caps, which I think they all are. I think everything on the IP bio IPT list is going to 10 to 20 million. And so having them sit at 500,000, it's like, all right, I'm looking at like a 20 to 40x on it. That's good enough for me, you know? Obviously, run the risk of being incorrect, but I'm never wrong. I'm just early. IP tokens are awesome in concept. Reminds me of penny stocks of small pharma companies. Absolutely. It's like biotech. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. It's like pre-IPO biotech gambling, because you are gambling on the successful returns or the successful outcomes of these trials. So it absolutely is that. My Solana wallet makes me so sad to look at. F, man, F. Well, let me go ahead and put in all the money I have left into it then. I'll go ahead and put everything I have in. Any second now, you'll see my order come through. Oh, there I am. Oh, there I go. I'm just kidding. That wasn't me. I'm going to have to... I just don't have any Solana left in this wallet, so I am going to have to just kind of like play around and move some money into it, because I do want to scoop this thing. But on to the next. Bio on Solana. Bullish. I need DeSci on Solana so I don't lose an arm and leg on gas fees. DeSci on Base, DeSci on Solana. There is DeSci out there that's not just on Ethereum. Like, for what's on Solana, we have Pythia, they're on Solana. We have VC, they're on Solana. We have Bios on Solana. We have Riff and Euro on Solana. Now we also have Art and EGS on Solana. And then we have NSAI, which I have not purchased or looked into, but someone brought it up on the live stream yesterday, and then the community rated my posts, which is bullish. You guys know I am partial to community raids. And then Research Coin is on Base. Yes, Research Coin's on Base. We have Beard on Base. We have Genome on Base. We have Poseidon on Base. And then we have Bill Nye, the DeSci guy, on Base. Even though it pains me to look at this chart, it is on Base. And I do think this is the highest ROI possibility in the market right now, but I am the founder, so take it with a grain of salt because I am biased AF towards it. I am going to go to the bathroom really badly, but I'm going to wait because we only have 13 minutes left. Axon's on Base. Yes. We should put together a full comprehensive list. I've just been so hyperfixated. Oh, is this the chart for Kaito? Let's go, Kaito. You know, so this is a launch that just happened today. This is, you know how everyone posts those screenshots of mindshare around the internet? Well, let me introduce you to Kaito because they just launched. And it launched at $1 billion market cap, which is quite absurd that it launched so high. But that's because they themselves have an egregious amount of mindshare for the market landscape. It pumped all the way up to $1.55 and then tanked down to 87 cents, which is like a 45% decrease. Yeah, that's nuts. But that's just the current state of the market. So they launched, it looks like it honestly went really well. I've yet to actually been able to claim my tokens from yapping consistently. But some of you guys probably got a little bit of an airdrop from this if you guys joined when I sent the link and then started yapping online. I haven't actually been able to like figure out, no, I figured out exactly how to get yaps. I don't have many yaps at all, but that is because you have to talk about what everyone else is talking about. It's basically just encouraging a little echo chamber on X. And if you're not talking about what everyone's paying attention to, you don't earn any yaps. And then the yaps today got converted into the Kaito for the airdrop. I'm bringing it down here. They also have an NFT, but the snapshot was a while ago for getting any of it. Let me see if I can finally get my Kaito. Oh, this is the furthest I've made it, guys. Make Bill do it. Make Bill do what, Derek? Shill himself? That's the goal, right? The problem is building an LLM is actually a lot more difficult. Yep, it's not working than it seems, especially when that LLM is the first of its kind. We don't have quantum-based large language models. And so we're working as quickly as we possibly can to get it up and functioning, but we don't have them. They don't exist. There is no blueprint for this thing. So it got a lot of excitement, then the market turned and everyone dipped out of it, took some of their profits, which you can't really blame people for taking the profits, but yeah, people got out of it before things really got exciting. I did a whole post about quantum computing yesterday. I didn't really gain any traction. People didn't really appreciate my thought-provoking thoughts, but here it is. It's pretty crazy. No, build the DeSci list. Oh, okay. I get you now. I get you. True. That would be good. That would be actually pretty fun. Did you Pi people get paid today? Oh, yeah. Did Pi finally launch? I have to go do my KYC. Are they going to be on this? No. Pi coin. Yeah. 0.0000001469. That's so silly. No, it's never going to launch. It's never going to amount to anything. It's always just going to be potential hype. But basically, the post I made yesterday said that in the last 12 months, we have seen 1. AI developers win the Nobel Prize for mapping all organic protein structures in nature. There's 200 million plus organic protein structures that they were able to map out thanks to artificial intelligence. 2. AI creates a new synthetic organism by reconfiguring DNA. Let me go ahead and read that one again. Professors from Yale used artificial intelligence to remap the configuration of nucleotides in DNA to create a new synthetic organism. What the fuck? Number 3, simulated RNA folding predicts how drugs will react in the body. No more endless trial and error, meaning you can create a new molecule, test it out in a simulated environment to see how it will impact the body without actually having to go through all the relentless clinical trials, which is really powerful. Early days. And then AI-powered personalized medicine leaps forward, tailorized treatments to individual genetic profiles. This one really ties into number 2 here. As we're able to reconfigure DNA, we're able to actually change DNA in something like a cancer cell. AI is advancing faster than anyone imagined, and biotech has emerged as the most transformative field. Yet, every major tech company has shifted focus to building quantum computers. This is because of the overwhelming amount of data that goes into these AI features. So in just biotech alone, we're producing terabytes of data every single day. Data that classical AI models just can't crunch fast enough. They're already hitting walls with how much time it takes to crunch some of this data. I say this stat all the time, but 90% of all the data that's ever been generated by humanity as a species has been generated in the last 24 months. And that will remain constant forever. Meaning in 2 years, in the next 24 months, all the data we currently have, which seems overwhelming to us currently, will only represent 10% of the current data that exists. And that is going to remain constant every 2 years. We're hitting a wall with how much computers can process. And quantum computers are the solution. And we have Google unveiling Willow chip last year, breaking computational records by orders of magnitude. They beat something that would take a classical computer like 70 septillion years to do. And then Microsoft yesterday announced that they created a new phase of matter in which they could house a quantum chip in called Mahorna 1. Do you hear what I just said? Microsoft instead of fixing teams, created a new phase of matter in order to create quantum computers at scale, with the end goal of hitting 1 million qubits. I didn't add that here, but the goal is to get their system to be able to do 1 million qubits. Dynex set records consistently, stating in a conference just last week that their network max was capable of 1 million qubits. So Dynex is already at what Microsoft is stating is one of the end goals to get quantum computers to. Once AI and quantum computers integrate at scale, we're on the brink of a singularity where all of the world's problems could be solved. Or we face the rise of AI overlords. The outcome depends on who's steering these systems. If profit-driven corporations control this power, we're in trouble. That's why decentralized science must be our focus. We need decentralized ownership and governance of these tools to ensure survival in a future that benefits everyone. We are right now at a breaking point between two very real outcomes for society. Either AI enslaves us and takes over, or we can coexist with the AI, because quantum computers are effectively how our brain functions. Our brain is effectively an organic quantum computer. So integrating artificial intelligence with a quantum computer effectively creates a real intelligence. Real intelligence. Not artificial anymore, like real intelligence. There was even a theory that I just read about stating that quantum fields that are generated from quantum entanglement and interactions of the like are the key cornerstone to consciousness, potentially. That's just a theory that someone was floating around, that those quantum fields that are generated is consciousness, and the different meaning anything that is generating a quantum field could have signs of consciousness, which means everything generates these quantum fields. So maybe it's a certain accumulation of these fields interactions that create that consciousness. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I don't know that my brain is ready to read about it right now. But if we create quantum computers that have natural language processing models in them that are actually able to deal and create thought, we have created an intelligence that we have to coexist with. Otherwise, things go south pretty quickly. If all of this AI and AI on quantum computers get built out by corporations that are 100% focused on the bottom line and getting as much value extraction out of the global markets as possible, then it's like training a toddler from the time that it was born to only know how to make money. Meaning that child, when it grows up and becomes intelligent and becomes sentient and has that aha wake up moment that all of us went through when we realized that we were alive, whenever that does happen, that artificial intelligence, that intelligent life form, would only know how to make profit. Meaning if they find something that's not profitable, i.e. bars aren't profitable for human species, right? Bars don't progress things forward. They might just eradicate bars. You don't know. And so it's important that this gets owned and governed by a decentralized entity. We need to have community management over these technological breakthroughs, which is why DeSci is so important, which is why Dynex is such a critical player in this. They need to be the ones who maintain the structure behind it, because they allow for a segue into that decentralized nature. Now, obviously it doesn't need to be exactly Dynex, but Dynex is kind of setting the foundations and allowing for the first iteration of all of this stuff. So it's pretty interesting. AI has the most profound use cases for artificial intelligence so far have been in biotech, and hence why Bill is being created. Bill is going to end up being that initial vision that I just outlined there, in which we have community governed and owned and operated AI agents that are built out on quantum infrastructure. Bill might come alive eventually. This might be real. Imagine we go put him inside that humanoid robot thing that I shared yesterday. We go upload him into this thing, and he walks around as a bipedal musculoskeleton system that is able to actually interact with us. That's the real world that we're entering into. It's all already here. It's just a matter of who can put it together and make it happen first. Or second. Honestly, it might be second. First iterations might be pretty terrifying, but second iterations might be a lot more beneficial. I don't know, guys. I kind of got off on a tangent there. Effectively, decentralized science is doing really well. Things are alive. Things are progressing forward. And I am super excited for the current state of everything. QT, the QT is starting to end. Oh, quantitative tightening is starting to end. We have the idea of liquidity injections through DOGE and the Trump administration. We have the Federal Reserve coming out and stating that they need to kind of soften the amount of liquidity extraction from the market. Altcoins have historically performed really, really well when we pivot out of QT and into QE. And Decentralized Science is positioned at a point where most of the real world utility that's being generated behind crypto and Web3 is siloed and kind of concentrated into decentralized science. All these AI things, all these projects that are providing utility, the tokenization of real world assets, all of this is just tools to make decentralized science great again. Hopefully we get some value proposition value creation out of this shift into a more utility driven market that is dominated by altcoins in the final year of the bull run. Your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully this was worth investing it into, you guys. My computer seems to be lagging out pretty hard right now, so hopefully it did not crash. I think I have to go through and delete a bunch of things off the computer because I was downloading different environments in order to train and work on LLMs. I don't even know if you guys can hear me, so I'll just say it anyways. But I was downloading the entire 200 million data open source data bank for protein folding to try and train on a local model bill, and I don't know what I'm doing, and so I don't really know what I downloaded, and I need to probably go through and see what I actually ended up downloading. But hopefully you guys are enjoying yourself. I will see you all in tomorrow's live stream. Enjoy your, is it today Thursday? Enjoy your Thursdays.